There was a time when Baro Ki'teer brought basically everything that Baro brought was exciting to me because I was a new player, I didn't have a whole lot of stuff, and the more you play Warframe, the more you gather and collect basically everything that the game has to offer, the less and less exciting Baro Ki'teer becomes. And this is normal because he doesn't really keep up with the new additions, if you know what I mean. In the last 2 years or so, most of the new additions from Baro were, I don't know, posters, pricks cards, decorations, nothing too interesting, but there were a couple of things. Now here's an example. We got Primed Fulmination, my friends. Primed Fulmination and the other thing, Firestorm, yes. And these will be increasing. Let me show you the range of explosions from 24%, which was the old Fulmination, to a whopping 66%, which is the brand new Fulmination. And Firestorm has the exact same numbers. One is for secondaries, one is for primaries. Now here's the thing about these. Not only do you gotta buy them from Baro, but they cost 40,000. 40,000 endo and 2 million credits to fully max out. Now, if you're a veteran like me, you don't care. You got plenty of resources. You got anasas coming out of here. Anyway, you have the resources to upgrade the mod, right? But if you're newer to Warframe, it's very important you understand this is not your first priority when it comes to prime mods. Okay, get the critical chance, critical damage, get the elemental prime mods, and so on and so forth. This is definitely not a priority. If you want a priority on this one, put it prior to after you got the actual important stuff, and check my Baro Ki'teer 2020 Tenocon guide to understand the priority. But let's check out this one. The problem with a mod such as this one is the fact that it doesn't really apply to all weapons in the game, not to all secondaries. It needs to have an explosion and all whatnot, and if that explosion is too small as a base range, then even adding 200% to it isn't gonna make a huge impact on the overall performance of the weapon. And there will be some secondaries in Warframe which will draw a real benefit out of Primed Fulmination. But first, which weapons can actually equip Fulmination and Primed Fulmination? So you got yourself the Acarius. Now this is the secondary weapon of Gauss, Angstrom or Prisma Angstrom, the Balefire Charger. This is Hildren's exalted weapon. It's actually a pretty good weapon, give it a spin. The Castanas or Sancti Castanas, the Cyanix, the Cool Star, the Kuva Seer, which is a lot more powerful than the standard Seer, the Pox, the Sepulchrum, the Spore Lasser, which is the brand new kit gun, the Staticor, the Stug, the Tomb Finger, Talons, Zakti or Zakti Prime, and of course the Zemos as well. Now, one of the big winners for Primed Fulmination is definitely gonna be the Staticor, and this is a standard build for the Staticor. If you guys want to know more details, why do we build it like this, and why not that mod or the other mod, link the cards right now for a full and detailed guide on the Staticor. Still a fantastic secondary weapon. One problem though. See this? Riven dispo of 1 out of 5, which means Rivens for this one aren't really worth getting, unless you get a really good roll. Chances of that happening are a lot of plat, essentially. I recommend it for this weapon, Gunslinger, as an option mod, and I want to show you performance of the weapon like so, and then we're going to switch up just a couple of things. First of all, let's have a look at the range of the actual explosion. Right here, we're going to hit the middle of the wall. Look at that. Beautiful. The base range on the big explosion is pretty high, and this would be the normal attack. Again, some players choose to spam like that and just bombard whatever stands before you. So let's spawn in level 120 corrupted heavy goons, so I can show you exactly what the weapon can do, but I cannot use Mesa because it does have an impact on secondary weapons, her passive, right? So let's go with Kitty Valkyrie. You like Valkyrie? Still love Valkyrie, so sexy. Look at that, look at that. Anyway, make sure she doesn't have corrosive projection on. Yes, nice. I know it's annoying. You should have checked before, yes, but I didn't, so there you go. Alright, we're good like this. It does have Arcane Avenger, but they're paused, so they cannot hit me. So this is the kind of performance you can do by spamming the weapon. Not bad. Definitely not bad. You can get a whole lot of AoE, or you can charge the weapon like so. Take a look at the size of those explosions. Absolutely bloody fantastic. Now, if I was to fit Fulmination in this build, what can I give up on? And that's a pretty tough choice, because you might say, hey, you know what, you don't need that much. Fire rate is gonna be fine without it, especially if your playstyle involves doing this all the time. Okay, you just want the biggest explosion that you can get, the biggest, most impactful. And I wouldn't really recommend a playstyle like that simply because there is armor in Warframe which will mitigate your damage, so going for raw damage all the time isn't necessarily the best thing you could do, at least from my point of view. But again, this seems like a no-brainer. and we're gonna increase the size of that explosion from 9.6, we're talking about the charge one, yes, to almost 16 meters. And the quick shot from 2.4 to 4. I mean, is there any bigger explosion in Warframe than this? Is this the actual Big Bang or not? That's a good question, isn't it? So let's try out a weapon like so. And let's see them differences, shall we? First, the wall test, yes. The wall test, big bada boom. Oh, it doesn't seem to have an impact. You see that on the actual visual effect. Where's the big explosion, Laser? Yeah, it was supposed to be a whole lot bigger than that, wasn't it? Yeah, from a visual point of view, it doesn't look like it actually has an effect. And if I'm gonna spam the weapon again, pretty much I'm gonna get the same performance as before, but I do not have the same fire rate as before. As for the big bada boom explosion, like, take a look. And we can see if this one actually has that huge 16 meter range or not. 14, 15, 16, okay, 16. Let's see. Yep, definitely. More down. Look at that. So it does have the range. Look what I'm hitting. And there's the damage on the targets. So again, it does have that huge range. But unfortunately, it doesn't really carry over to the actual effect. And that's a bit of a problem. Here's another bit of a problem. D decided at the start of the year to remove self-damage in Warframe. To be honest, I still consider it a pretty silly idea. I don't see why they felt the need to do that. But they also introduced this stupid stagger effect, right? I'm gonna hit... Look. See what I mean? Of course you can get around this if you really must, but this is just silly. Look at this, I'm gonna try to carpet bomb from like the air. I'm gonna get knocked back way up into the air. So you see, Primed Fulmination might not be as usable as you might think. It's a fantastic effect, I love it, but because of that stupid stagger effect, honestly it can get really annoying really quick. Primes Surefooted, I don't even want to hear about it. I don't even want to bloody hear about it. Another one of the benefits of removing self-damage and introducing this horrible garbage. Now, Warframe, from my subjective, 100% subjective point of view, is a game about speed. Okay, it's an agility game, if you will. Okay, you don't really have a shooter with this kind of movement system, this kind of parkour. It makes it so exciting. It increases the gameplay possibilities and opportunities, like to do cool things like that. But then the explosion hits you in the face and it ruins it. Why? Why? Sorry. So yeah, that's my take on Primed Fulmination. There will be other weapons which won't have as big of a range as this one. And you will get less stagger knockback, or you can get around it if you really, really must. So I love the mod, I love the fact that we finally got Primed Fulmination and Prime Firestorm, but to be honest, because of this stupid knockdown effect, we can't really have the full fun we could have had with it. Speaking of a build though, because you guys are probably still curious, again, you can replace your fire rate mod with Primed Fulmination if you so desire, if you have a Riven like this one. Let's say, how would you build your weapon if you have a Riven? What can you give up on? Now, giving up on anything at this point becomes all the more difficult and complicated simply because you're gonna have to either tackle and get rid of one of your 60-60 mods, which means your elemental combo is no longer what you need. There will be situations in where radiation is really the best idea. For example, index. In certain indexes, radiation is definitely the way to go. And you can also make a single element on the weapon. Let's say you give up on this and you go radiation heat. That's not a horrible idea, right? And in doing this, you essentially make room for a Riven. This is an option you can go for. Allow me to show you performance. You saw the Riven there. Damage, multi-shot, harmless, negative. It's a good Riven. I hate renouncing my elemental combo. Again, when it comes to elemental combos, right now Viral is king, still is king together with Slash and all whatnot, but when it comes to going down to Deimos and secondary weapons in specific, I would still kind of go Corrosive for the most part. And you can build a weapon like so. Especially multi-shot because it generates multiple explosions. If you are to go Magnum Force, you're also going to see the different projectiles going to different directions, and so on and so forth, if you're after that whole effect. Another option you can go for is to drop Lethal Torrent with 60% fire rate and 60% multi-shot and just keep your elemental combo as before. We can go Corrosive. However, in doing this one is a pretty big compromise as well, simply because, well, you don't have that gameplay feel of the Staticor anymore without fire rate. I don't have Gunslinger, I don't have Lethal Torrent on the weapon. It's not exactly the most smart choice to make, but again, you can go for something like this if you so desire. Without the fire rate, to be honest, the weapon is lackluster from my humble point of view. But if this is enough for you, then you should have no problem in going for a build such as this. And careful with the big explosions because it will knock you back like so. And that's pretty much it, my friends. Please don't misunderstand, I love that we got these 2 new mods, but this whole stagger business kind of puts a damper on the fun and all whatnot. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And if you got any sorts of feedback for me, by all means, drop it in the comment section down below. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.